This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your live daily market recap for Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you're new to the channel, please check out the Discord room. A link is in the description below. And I appreciate all the subscribers and followers. We're getting up there. It's growing quickly. Again, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. This channel, again, as I love to refer, is not for beginners specifically. It's for people who are what? Been trading and don't realize that they're the suckers. Again, 90% of people will lose in trading over time. And it's just a matter of when. How do you stay ahead of that? How do you anticipate moves? Just how do you not get crushed? That's what I'm trying to teach people, because anyone who sells you on certainty, anyone who sells you on the idea that the market is somehow a game to take money out and it's not predictable, are the two biggest lies. The market is predictable with probabilities, and passive investing only works in a bull market. We're not in a bull market, so that's the things we got to talk about. Again, always love referencing this article. This is Anna Cooling, volume price analysis, what the specialists use. The use of the short sale. I mean, it's not even take out the short sale. Just look at the rules. If you, again, stop by the Discord room, I will drop. Let me just drop the link in just in case if people are reviewing this later. Why can't I see it? Nope, there it is. Let's do some inviting. Let's invite people, and instead of a 7-day, let's give it the never-ending one. Because if not, what typically happens is people get stuck. Like it'll reload in 7 days. So let's get into the, well, actually, let me start on the first trade, XOP. I don't know if anybody took that. I posted that, talked about drip. Well, what is the first thing that I'm looking at? And maybe some of you guys know. What is the catalyst for a potential top in the XOP and just oil, gas, whatever, right? And then notice, and again, I'm going to start with the data today, right? It was bad. Bad. The service PMI was 44.1. They're expecting 49. 50 is the demarcation for what? Good and bad. Like 50 is equal. It's like it's just okay. It's flat. I mean it's the best way to describe it. It's like no growth. No growth. Over 50 growth, below 50 uneven. 50 is even. It's kind of weird how that works, but point. So let's start there. So clearly the economy and the recession is growing, or the economy's not growing. The recession potential is growing, which honestly the market already knows that. You have oil spiking on OPEC news. Now, I've said this 1,000 times. If you believe OPEC, it's like trusting a band of thieves. Like at some point, these folks have to feed their country, the people that are involved, that live there, whatever. They have to drill, baby, drill, as future or past people have talked about. Drill, baby, drill. Like they have to do that, and it's not. I mean, again, if they're not putting money in their coffers, then what happened? The populace and the masses are going to lose it. So never believe that, because the same thing happened in 2008. If you remember, oil spiked up to like 150, 160 area, and the end of the world was coming, right? Oil was what? I mean, the same headlines. Reduction in oil is not, there's not the capacity, yada, yada, yada. We're going to never-ending oil prices going higher. The same kind of crap, right? Like, that's all you hear. Now, again, I don't think it could, I think long-term, if there is no solution, yes, oil out of this bear market will obviously go much higher. Let's not get that twisted. But near-term, I say this all the time, nothing is safe. So if we know that, and we've been patient, I've said for weeks, trade it how you want. You could go long, you could go short, be careful. Well, now I'm looking at the market going, all right, well, maybe it wants to pop a little bit near-term. What would be that catalyst? And what would be the first thing I want to look for? Probably oil and gas dropping, right? That would be the first thing. Now, again, I'm not talking about the bull, like tech market and everything else rising a ton. I'm just saying base out, because I think ultimately, in the end, they all get wiped out. Do we not all agree? Does everyone confirm that? Understand that nothing is safe? At the lows, I had a question with Scott, and if he's in here, I don't know. He's asking me, he's like, how do you know when FOMO? Like, how do you not have FOMO? I don't want to miss out. I'm like, when it's the bottom, when nobody wants this crap. Now, again, I don't think oil futures are going negative. I'm just saying, like, it'll be a price that drops. So what's the catalyst? Occidental Petroleum, right? Buffett's going in. He bought 50% of the company. Again, Here are the communications to get people in, right? Let's get excited. Let's get excited. And then you go look at Occidental. It's up today. Let's get excited. Let's buy Occidental. Let's advertise this to the media, or let the media advertise this to the world, right? Oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas, oil and gas. All right, that's the first thing. I'm like, sentiment. Go look FinTwit. I mean, I'm seeing guys with hundreds of thousands of followers recommending this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you guys, because again, like, you're using technicals, and this is what the hardest part about the market. It's not always technically based. We like when the technicals line up, and we're going to show that. But so now think about sentiment, right? Would we not all agree that bears have been wiped out in oil and gas, and the rally in the XOP is what? It's been a decent amount, right? Let me pull that up real quick, because we'll start drawing, right? Let's do some drawings. And if you look at the monthly, keep in mind, this is a crappy ETF, which is great. What have we talked about? Don't short, right? Just don't short at the moment. But also, go, if you went long, you got to be super careful, because eventually what? It all comes down. So that's why I always told you, like, leave it alone. Go look at Occidental Petroleum's put to call ratio. At one time this morning, I think it was under 0.2. Under 0.2 is like extreme. Remember, the put call ratio 1-to-1 is equal puts to calls. 0.2 means 80% versus 20%, right? 0.2. It all has to equal 1. 80% of options were calls. That's not bullish. That's signals of what? Mass entrance. Who do you think is buying calls today? Does anyone just want to take a guess? Who is buying calls? Warren Buffett? Big smart money? Who is buying calls today on Occidental? Anyone have a guess? 3, 2, 1. Yes, retail. Retail is absolutely taking the news. They're being fed the bait. Nom, nom, nom. Yeah, Curran. Yeah, being fed the what? The news. It's going higher. Retail. Absolutely. So now, if you know that for a fact, that's why I was watching today. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, this is like one of those trades that you don't want to do, but you're like, it's man, is it really that easy? So here's like your point of control in the 140s to 150s. I was watching this earlier this morning, and I was watching the gap, and I'm like, they filled the gap. That's kind of when I started looking at it, right? Kerwin, you're doing great, man. Don't let them get you down, bro. Well, now you go look at the 10-minute, right? And somebody on the beginner room was like, ooh, this action looks way too bullish. I want to leave it alone. And I'm like, this is the kind of blow off that you're looking for. This is what the straight line moves. How many times do I say it? The straight line moves at the highs. The straight line moves at the lows, or what? Those are the tops. Those are the bottoms. That's the all-in moment. Everybody capitulates, goes running in. This is where the market makers just say, here, you get shares, you get shares, you get shares, you unlimitless shares. You can have as many as you like. You can have whatever you like. Right? Like, here it is. Bzzz. So now what, right? Look at this hammer. And the day just gets worse and worse. And again, if you bought the drip down, what was the low today? It was like 14.10. I got some at 14, I think, was it 40, 50, 20? I don't know. I mean, I layered into it. And now my stop is 14. I don't care. Again, I bought 3 tranches. I don't really have a ton because I'm all in short and everything else. But I was thinking to myself, I'll go to Margin Island for this. I will go to the Caribbean on this trade, because now we've been patient, right? What did we always say? I know folks who might be newer be like, we've been waiting to short this. People, anyone in here who's been around, like, we have been waiting. I've been waiting for this moment all summer. Hold on, because remember, we shorted the crap out of this thing. Nice, bought it at 14. Again, still not bad. We're waiting for the head and shoulders. We're waiting some sort of retest or shoulders, right? All right, so now we know this, because I know it's funny. People are like, look at the RSI, look at the MACD. No, that follows price. It's absolute crap. Man, historic volatility. And the puts are getting so cheap. Anyway, so then you go look at Occidental Petroleum, right? Let's go look at the Oxy, because I think this is right. We have to be cognizant of our surroundings, right? What is going on with Oxy, right? Like, Buffett's buying half. Buffett's buying half. Yep, exactly. Thank you, Eric. novice gap. Gap up. Again, it wasn't like this wasn't known yesterday, right? It wasn't like it was known. Actually, it was known on Friday, right? When did the 13Fs come out? Last week, sometime during OPEX. I can't remember specifics. I think it was Thursday into Friday. Whatever. So here's the news. Rips up. Inside day. Stopping power. Gaps up. Gaps over the highs. Well, here's where it gets a little tricky for me. Is that, oh my God, look at the monthly. Holy shit. The 0.618, and you look like you're breaking out. Now here is where the stops come into play. If you're wrong, you're gone. Do you see how we're picking the best spots for this? And again, we're not shorting Oxy, but we're shorting XOP, a basket, because I don't ever want to play one name specifically. And again, because we're also short the market. Like if you run the fundamentals down and you run all the evidence down, this popping is what? An anomaly. Occidental is coming into old price. And here's the last thing I'm going to say, because again, people are like, fundamentals, charts. I'm telling you right now, Warren Buffett is the king of what? Covered call writing. Do you not think that at a certain point, he's sitting here going, oh, I control the stock. Market makers, you guys take the day off. I'm literally going to be just selling calls all effing day. He wants this to drop now because what then? He'll pocket the cash and then he'll reinvest it. For a hit to break out, there's no cash for him, right? Does that make sense? Like he wants to sell. I mean, imagine if he can rake in $100 million in covered call premium because retail's buying calls. He doesn't have to sell the stock. He collects that cash, and now he can buy, more shares, more whatever. If it goes higher, it's not as exciting to him, right? Because then he'd have to sell shares, and they'd have a taxable moment. In the sense of like, if he just bought it 30 days, I don't know, short-term capital gains. I don't think like anybody really pays attention, but that's why he loves Coca-Cola. Because it literally goes nowhere, and he prints money off of that. And have you ever heard of this process? It's called the printing press. It's one of the techniques that Gary Williams called in the late 1990s, 2000, and he called it the printing press technique because he learned it from Buffett. Again, I love give credit where people credit due, and that's what it would do. If you knew a stock wasn't going anywhere, you'd sell the covered calls. You'd absolutely control the stock. So what? You collected the premium that retail's like, gotta buy! Gotta buy! Gotta get on it! Nope. So now what? Let's just break through oil real quick. There we go. Look at this formation. Is this bullish? Novice gap with a hammer? I'm sorry, if your MACD and RSI intraday didn't say divergence, well, you're missing out, man. The wheel strategy. There's a lot of things to talk about. Can't do it every day, but again, does this make sense? If you are not shorting this, that's fine. Just watch it. Just learn. Does it retest? We don't know. But what do we do know about the sector? It's not safe in a recession. I'm just trying to warn people. Like there's nothing safe. I keep having not arguments, but people who in uranium. I'm like, you guys don't realize when all of you are done, we'll buy it. Because you're going to get wiped out. And again, maybe you don't get wiped out, but again, they're going to knock these stocks back to levels that are cheap. Again, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. I say it every video. So let's pull up oil real quick and then UNG, and we'll move on and do the regular session. What do we notice? 50-day coming in, talking about watch this high up here in the 77s. It's been trouble. Wouldn't we all agree this area looks like a little bit of trouble? Just like this has been support down here. You see how the zones, again, if you can be late in trades and they allow you to, they tell you all you really need to know. So oil there. Now here is the kicker. All of this news, right? Like all this news about oil and gas. What is UNG doing today? Y'all see that? Anyone see UNG? Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. Doge. And what do you call this bar? And it's not the Caribbean Margin Island bar. But what do you call that bar, right? That would be considered an outside reversal engulfing bar. Typically known as bearish. Bearish. Remember it in June? Do we remember it's right here? Again, oh, the market's not predictable. It's really hard. And I was like, no, there's repeating patterns everywhere. Oh, but that doji's green and that one's red. Okay. Hello, my darling. Hello, my lady. What is that? Now, again, we're over the highs, but now we're back under. Again, I'm not selling you on certainty. I never will tell you anything is 100% probable. But if you run all of what we just talked about and you ran it through statistical probabilities, what is the likelihood it's going lower? Anyone have a guess? Exactly. And there it is. OneDrive. Thanks, OneDrive. Oh, let's hope it's not the Nikkei, because we're going nowhere for decades. Told people that. They're like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know, Dan. I don't know, Dan. You're being a little too bearish. It's like, dude, it can happen. And when I say, like, again, people know me. It's my fishing guide days. I used to talk, say dude all day. Dude. Dude. Or dude. I mean, you can use it in 17 different ways. All right, Bitcoin. Sorry to rant on that, but I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't know what the F is going on, and it really scares the crap out of me, because why? I mean, again, think about it. Go look at FinTwit and look at all the monster accounts with hundreds of thousands and thousands of followers, and look at their recommending. And when they all recommend the same thing, they are like the head of the snake of the retail mass psychology. Notice how everyone's like, oh, you're a contrarian. And it's like, no, I'm evidence-based. And I'm going to be bullish at the lows. I'm going to be bearish at the highs. People who are not familiar with us realize that, oh, it's a trader's market. Well, guess what? We're going to do what traders do well. And that's trade like a mother. Trade like a mofo. And we're going to do it well. Bitcoin, you're sitting on the precipice of absolute danger. This area is support resistance, this blue zone. Cat wants to hang out. And here you go. Break this trend. Game over. Game over. Oil. We just talked about, but let's look at the actual oil back testing what? This 94, 95 range. We talked about that resistance zone. Well, what's the long term? Again, let's go back to when Mr. Biden took over. It's probably going to be in the 60s. Ow! Get your claws out of me. That's probably what's going to happen. Just got mauled by a tiger trying to jump in my lap. So look at the long term and think about it. Nothing's safe. Do you guys and gals realize, like, as we're talking about oil, like, now remember the USO is a absolutely crappy ETF, but do y'all remember this? Do y'all remember oil and gas? Because I do. It was one of my best trades ever. Look at that. Oh. If a recession is coming, oil's not safe. Are we clear on that? Now, again, I get it. There's inventory problems. That's what probably, to me, makes it hold up better. Like, we're not going back to negative futures prices. We all agree on that. Oil's not going to zero, but it's also not going to hold up. Can you understand why I'm talking about it and say it over and over and over and over and over again? If you have any questions about oil, here is your 10 seconds to drop a question. If not, I'm going on to the TLT. All right, no questions. Excellent. TLT. It seems to be holding this, what? High volume, low. The support zone. Now, again, let's just draw the rectangle. Look at that. Drip, pop, not drip, drop. It's going to probably hold here. Now, what happens after that? I have no clue. Again, the market, keep in mind, let's always look at the last bear market. What do you guys remember? I mean, I remember it. I remember interest rates did what? That's why I'm trying to get people to buy houses now, because if you buy them now at higher rates, you're probably going to be able to refinance later. Such a gift. Here was August chop, then the big spike in interest rates. I don't think rates are going to go any lower, even though the Feds are raising. Keep in mind, people say, oh, the Feds are raising rates. Yes, they are. But what is the Feds raising rates? Is that really what the bond market is made from? No, what the Fed's interest rate, with like the Fed fund rate, is the interbank lending rate. That's what banks lend to each other. It's meant to slow down the creation of credit. If that goes higher, it gets more expensive. That's what it does. It's not necessarily the mortgage market or the bond market. Keep that in mind. Again, I'm not calling anything with the bond market. If inflation keeps rearing higher, bonds will get absolutely destroyed. And that's where it'll be great with, I think they said the average house now around the country now costs $300,000 to build. It was like 180, 200 like a couple years ago. Inflation, that's what it is. The dollar, man, so many people going, Fed pivot, look at that bad news. And it's like, no, we're just back up at the highs. Keep in mind, dollars relative to what? The rest of the world. Are we in a bad position? I don't think so, personally, but it could be wrong. We are just basing up against the all-time high of the last 15 years. Now, again, I don't have the Dixie here, but this is basically parity with the euro. I don't care what the other currencies are doing. That, to me, is really it. But think about it. Do you want to own the yuan, yen, euro in a bear market or at a recession? I think the answer is obviously no. No. The VIX hit the 200-day yesterday. Talked about it breaking out on, what's the day, Friday? Oh, it hits the 200-day, it backs off. People are like, oh, what's the market? Why aren't we making more money? We got to keep short. And it's like, guys, gals, slow and steady is better. Because if you get the 3-day ripper, the 4-day, then it's going to get harder. I want to see stocks in the volatility so that if we want to roll our puts out, they stay cheap. They stay cheap. Because once you get up into here, now puts get real expensive. And you're not going to want to do that. I mean, you're just going to have to be very careful. And at this point, if you are short, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just recommending and giving advice based on things that you need to talk to your financial advisor about. I'm not liable for anything. You hit enter and exit. But if you are shorting and you have a core position, like, you want to be able to leverage it. Leverage that core position. SPY. What did we say? 410, 407. All day this morning. Like, oh, people are like, oh, man, the SPY's going higher. Hits the 20-day. Doink. Rejection. This is probably going to be your first support. And it's amazing because, again, I'm not making fun of the people in the Discord room, but y'all, I mean, you guys look at the 5-minute chart and you just go, well, I guess it's bouncing. It's like, well, why do we talk about this area? Because it's, again, it's the point of control. I mean, you can see it here. I mean, you get under 411 down to like the 407s. I've said this 1,000 times yesterday and today. Oh, well, it popped this morning. Great. Bring in the suckers. We got to lose some money. We got lots of money to lose. QQQ, same thing, popping. I don't want to have it drawn across, but I've said somewhere probably in the 300s. Oh, this is so hard to pull when you've got all these lines here. Let me see if I can. Yes. 300 to 310. I know that's a big range, but we don't know because this is the old trend line, right? Like, whatever, down here. Give yourself runway. Keep in mind, I said there will be a bounce. Why? But keep in mind, remember, the Qs didn't bounce much off of that drop. And, again, they had a decent little bounce. The SPY did as well. Watching drip in the background, just like the XOP on the other computer. I mean, this is what I expect before, like, the big leverage short. Here it is. If it comes, great. If not, I don't know, man. Again, wave 3, we talked about this could get absolutely monster donkey punched, slapped around. Again, I don't want to call the police for domestic violence, but that's what can happen with this kind of move. It can be painful for your family if you're long. We don't know. We just don't know. But if you short it up here, like we talked about, there's 1 of 3 scenarios. The short arm where you get close but don't hit it. You hit the 200-day or you get slightly over it. Well, you should have been adding last week and known where to get and get out. So, yeah, someone suggests short Oxy or Gush instead. I mean, all the derivatives, whatever. You pick your flavor of ice cream. I just like drip because it's easy to get a lot of shares. It's cheap. I'll get the percentages if I need. Again, most of you guys and gals know I'm pretty large short, pretty large. IWM flat today. Again, a nothing day under the 20-day. Probably going to hold somewhere around 187. We talked about the 187 to 190 range. We'll see. Now, this is the hardest part, right? We have Jackson Hole coming up. I mean, what is the Fed going to say? They cannot say they're not going to raise rates with oil at these prices. Like, that's where it's like, man, I feel like oil's a sweet spot to short in the near term. Now, ultimately, I don't believe in it anyway long term. But, I mean, long term, I think it has more upside. But near term, it's going to get slapped. Just that's what happens. Gold, man, so many people today like, oh, you got to buy gold. And it's like, Yeah, wake me up when we get back down to here. Rip Van Winkle. I'm going to sleep. We said this every time. The monthly 0.382 is your point of control, typically on a cup and handle. We'll look where it held. The 0.382 got a little lower. Oh, well, here you go. Held it there. See why I'm saying, like, please let it play out. The monthly can do what? Probably going to retest. We said gold is the king of double bottoms and retesting. I don't watch previous videos, but it should just, it's there. It's there. It's there. I can go back for months and years. I just don't want to talk about it because I want to move on to better things. Silver. Again, people get super excited, right? Super excited. The bottom is not exciting. Let me start with this rant on this because the bottom is not going to be exciting for people who are bullish and looking to buy. You're going to actually question whether you should buy it. Just like I had people in the Discord room, beginners going, I can't short XOP. No effing way. They're going to make you question your own reality. And at the lows, when gold and silver get absolutely pummeled and beaten, people are going to not, they're just not going to be able to do it. They're going to be like, this is scary. I'm the only one here. Do you hear the media? Do you hear what's going on in the world? That's how you know you're at the bottom. This isn't the bottom. Stop it. Every day, somebody, oh, you missed the bottom. It's like, all right, well, whatever, man. Okay. It doesn't really honestly bother me. It just confirms we're not there. That's why I'm like, please reach out to me every single day and tell me the gold hasn't bottomed. Because at the lows, I'll probably miss you probably won't even be around. It'll be a sign. Oh, crap. That same person, those same folks. Crickets. Gone. GDX popped to the 20-day. Leave it alone. Let's run through these fast. GDXJ, leave it alone. Say this every day. This is the stronger one because it got up to the May highs. GDX did not. GDXJ is the stronger one. Junior miners will get bought aggressively when gold starts a monster bull market. Because why? The leverage is in the short, or it's not, the small names, not short. There's leverage is in small names. The big boys are already leveraged fully, and they're going to have to buy. Junior, miners. AG, leave it alone. Popping 30 cents today. Somebody's like, oh, you should be trading. I'm like, yeah, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've got hundreds of things to look at, and I will not do that. AEM holding up well. We talked about this is the one. This is the one, right? That's the one. GDX double bottom. No. What? No. GDX is not double bottom. It gets wiped out in the bear market, like when a bear market and capitulation happens. It turns into screaming. Look here, it tried to look like it was a bottom. It's like, this is a bow. Gone. I'm telling you guys, like if you've never traded this stuff and really actually successfully managed it, because I've actually gotten absolutely destroyed in this stuff at times because I didn't realize that. You just wait. Here you go, AEM. This is the one that has volume. I would look for the retest. It could go lower. Pass. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Newmont, please do not buy this. But if you watch it as a corollary to the market, I understand that. But please don't buy this. They're going to have to spend money. Maybe they can get money for free. I don't know. Probably not. It's at the monthly trend line. I expect what? Kapow! Because it was, I mean, let me draw the past. I mean, you can see like there's this. I wish I didn't have to draw all the way across. But you can see there was a support line. Came back to it. Kapow! Probably going to do the same. Anyway, leave that alone. U.S. Steel, a lot of these names up today. People are like, oh, you said get rid of them. Oh, it's the monthly. We traded this one beautifully. I love U.S. Steel. Trades at a 1 PE. It's great. Talked about up here. Oh, it popped back to the 20-day. Is that, I mean, do you realize, now maybe when I say you, people listening out there, that the average person does not comprehend how a day trade works versus a swing trade. They think a swing trade, every day should be green, every day should be red. Well, do you see that in your day trading? If it's all just reoccurring patterns and setups, do you see that on your day trading? No. So why do you expect that in swing trading? Pops, great. Who cares? Nucor, got to hold the 20-day. If not, kapow. Look at the wick. Not looks like people don't get excited. CCJ. I love uranium, folks. They're some of the biggest losers I know. And I mean losers in the sense like they will stick. They're like gold bugs. They'll just, and silver, they'll just lose to be right versus like trade to make money, which we talked about. This is bad. This is real bad. When you gap down and break below it, goodbye. All these people wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Then you expand in volume, and now you're just basing and you're backing up. People are like, oh, but uranium prices are going to the moon. And it's like, they probably will. And guess what? These stocks will get absolutely throttled first, because that's what they do. Remember in 2008? Kapow. Look at that. Do we all see these recurring patterns? Like, that's why I try to do this. And some people are like, man, you just say the same stuff every video, essentially. And I'm like, well, because people still don't remember. I'm hoping one day when my following is just like, dude, please stop repeating yourself. Let's talk about new stuff. And it's like, well, do you have the fundamentals dialed in? Most don't. Keep in mind, I'm going to shut all this down at some point because I don't want to get big. I have no desire to fight against the masses and become a target. 50-day, nice pop on VALE. Leave it alone. Absolutely leave it alone. CJ Arrow, this one's popping. Cool story, bro. I like this one. It has some volume at the lows, right? Let it come back. Come back to the 8s. Come on back. Mosaic. Here's another. I mean, if Sunrise Trader's in here, I'm not trying to be mean to him or pick on him, but as like every trade you're doing today, I just wanted to do the opposite. I was like, this is a novice gap, and he's like, oh, it's going higher. I'm like, okay. MACD and your RSI, I don't know what they're saying, but this action is what? The first test of the 100-day as it's curling down. Probably going to be the game over. Long wick. Now, again, everybody's piling into what? Inflation names. The feds are going to pivot. Did you see the ISM non-manufacturing? No one cares about that. Feds don't know. Remember, they're waiting for the jobs number. Here we go. Coming back to the highs. Probably again. Remember how we talk about exhaustion with gaps? Like XOP. Do you see this? Danger, danger, danger. I don't like to see big gap ups with long wicks at highs. Because you know how they typically end? They're reversal patterns. Just like big gaps with long wicks at the low. Let's see if we can find one here. No, you just had stopping power. We'll find one later. I'll see one. AMD. Give big gaps with long wicks at the low. I mean, that's not really it. No. Well, anyway, AMD. People are like, what do you think about semis today? It's like, well, I don't really have a brain for it. Because think about it. I've said this every day. The market is going to do what it's going to do. Take time to get there. If you're buying puts for next week on this stuff, what are you doing? You're trying to get from point A to point B in a day. It doesn't work like that. The market's going to do what? It's going to confuse the crap out of you if you overtrade and if you don't know the bigger trend. We not agree AMD is making lower highs and lower lows. Great. Breaks the 100-day, going to 87. I see people. Now, again, this is why I'm actually excited about more of the short on this. I'm seeing people out there recommending buying calls. Recommending buying calls, the 97s, the 103s, all sorts of crazy trades. I'm like, where in the charts does that say it should? SMH, here you go, professional gap. Where's the gap down and turnaround? I mean, kind of like that. I mean, trying to find like the opposite of that XOP top. I thought we'd find one here. Not really, but here. Gaps and turnaround. Like again, that's the bottom. Signals of bottoms and tops. Gap 1, gap 2. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Now you're in the 100-day. I mean, remember, buy the rumor, sell the news. The CHIPS Act is over. I've said this 1,000 times. Bad. Yes, NVIDIA has earnings tomorrow. Maybe it pops and you get an opportunity to short it. That would be glorious. But what do we say? The CHIPS Act is not good for chips. Now you're going to have even more of a glut of chips in a recession. Let's just keep printing more chips. Because now, I tell you all the time, they all make great chips. All of them. Now they're all going to be competing and getting government subsidies. Oof. And again, $60 billion is not a lot. I mean, Intel and a few others are really ones banking on it. But, man, there's just going to be a glut of chips. And it's no different than what? Remember the last time we had a monster glut of chips? I do. And I'm not talking about Chips Ahoy chips. I'm talking about the 2000s. Everybody was trying to make them. Bam. Then you started growing more chips in the bear market. Boom. I mean, this stuff isn't safe. People are like, tech is the future. Tech is always the future. Where you been, folks? Now, again, I mean, the actual capacity of chips then was very low. But again, the promise of the companies, that was ultimately what did them in. Then they went nowhere. Look at this move. I have people every day question whether this is bullish or bearish. I'm like, how high are you? An inverse head and shoulders on the daily? I just see the M pattern. I see Ronald McDonald. I don't see inverse head and shoulders. I see more of like the Ronald McDonald. I mean, if you're bullish semiconductors, I mean, I wish you luck. And I'm not like talking junk. Yeah, chips and dips. That's what's coming. Chips and dips. Let's run through all the tech names. Apple. Again, people don't realize, like, I did a video on this in November. Who wins the tech war? Not tech. It's the inputs. At the end, tech is just trash. I mean, again, think about US Steel is trading at 1 times earning. What's going to happen when Apple's trading at 2 and 3 times earnings? What price is that going to be? You tell me. It happens to every stock at some point, especially if they survive. Because there's no future growth. Why would you pay for future growth on a company that maxes out? You just don't. Things have to change. Apple, we talked about shorting up here, filled the gap. Everyone's like, oh, you're crazy. No, now it holds the 20-day. I don't know. I mean, Apple, yeah, what? Man, I don't even know how to explain this, people. Because, again, you look at these charts and you go, you don't believe in recessions and corrections? This is the blow-off top. Here's the lower high. Adios, amigo. I don't even know what else to say. Tesla. People are going to argue until they're blue in the face that this is bullish. And I'm like, you, my friends. Got a double top and Elon's selling. If Elon's selling stock, why are you buying? You're going to believe him? You don't think he's manipulating his own stock? The stock is due for a what? Massive pullback. Because, again, a bear market, that's what it does. They trade at premiums during bull markets, and they trade at discounts in bear markets. Are you familiar with this? If not, take notes. You trade at premiums in bull markets. You trade at discounts in bear markets. Okay? Clear as day. Meta. Go into the metaverse. No. Better hold this range lows. What do we say? Got to hold the 155. You're like, oh, you've been talking about it for months and why it did and why you traded. I'm like, well, it hit the primary trend line. But if it can barely bounce, that's telling you what? It's a bear market. Because if this is a bull market, this thing would get what? Bought up. Get bought up. It's not. It's like, think of a basketball dropping and it just hits the ground and thump. There's no air in there. No one wants it. Microsoft. Here's another one that's going to go get burned to the ground. Subscription model. Struggles with dollar. Oh, you can't even make this up how juicy a short it is. They literally gave you up here, got in here, stopped out, got back in. Oh my. I'm up. We're doing well. Professional gap, game over. If you don't know what pro and novices gap, somebody drop the YouTube link, please. It's that easy. All right, let's start moving through this faster. It's going, and then I'll stop recording. We'll have some free chat. This is game over, y'all. And again, if you don't think this is scary, like this is the Himalayas. These moves are not sustainable. Now, again, if inflation goes nuts and they print endless dollars, maybe. But even then, what? They're not going to do that until when? The markets, again, the Feds are not going to pivot with at the highs. I always tell these people, like, even if this turns into the 1970s, sloppy, choppy market that ends up going higher in the 80s with a new president, it's going to be choppy as crap, and this is going to get murdered. And the Feds are not going to bail out the market until it gets murdered. I'm just telling you that. It's just, remember, they disowned stocks as of what? September of 2021? NDAQ, people are like, you're crazy for shorting this. I'm like, I know how it ends. Waterfall. This is the Coinbase of the NASDAQ. Here you go. They got their split coming great. Break the 20-day. I mean, last 4 days, it's just been the opposite. All day it goes up. People are like, man, this is crazy. It just keeps going higher. I'm like, yeah, I got puts. I got a lot of puts. They got burned. But I had time, and I'm like, I'm going to just let them ride. It's down like 10 grand at one point. Now I'm down 2,900. Coming back. Because, again, my puts I got time, and I got the 180s. I'm fine with it. I know what can happen. Sayonara. Adios. Arrivederci. What are some other tech names that I just want to talk about? And I don't really, they all look the same. Have y'all noticed that? Like, go look at Microsoft, pop into a chop zone and fail. Amazon, pop into a chop zone and fail. Do y'all notice this? Again, I tried to post this in the Discord room. Pop into a chop zone and fail. Google, pop into a chop zone and fail. Right? Popped up here, got a little higher, got over it, gone. Each one is a little different, but they all are a little bit the same, right? Netflix. Popped up to the gap, fail. Do you see how, like, again, if this is Livermore, he is just jonesing to short more. Because, again, the market's now giving you the evidence you want to see. Is this clear? Like, I mean, I feel like I have this debate every day with folks, and I'm like, the evidence is speaking. Are you listening? Are you listening? No, of course they're not. XBI, right? Let's look at that real quick. get into the XOP at the end. Gets up at the 200-day and it fails. All things that don't look bullish. Now, near term, again, short term, I'm expecting slightly lower, could bounce. But this is the thing about swing trading. What would Livermore say? The things that got him rich were doing what? Sitting on his hands and doing nothing. If he has the direction correct, that is where the big money is. Now, you can trade around it. You can trade around a position. We talk about that. If you bought, for example, we say you're short 1,000 shares of EXPI and you want to take 500 off and wait for the pop, go right ahead. But just know your core is what? Your core should be held. So if you're buying LabD, whatever. I guess we had to do the traditional names. EXPI. Fundamentals matter. The stock would not be at 14 because I know what's going on in the company. And this is just absolute murder. Sorry. Fundamentals. UTHR. Where is it? Popping. Cool story, bro. Talked about it being a head and shoulders top. Here's your right shoulder. Now it's just basing under the 20-day. And folks who didn't sell, I mean, I just keep warning them. I mean, unless it's getting bought out, which I don't know for a fact. If it doesn't, it's going to get corrected. And by corrected, meaning like chiropractor adjusted. Pow! Popped. Slam. I guess we already did oil. Let's go back to it. Again, I'm going to wrap this up real quick. If you've got any questions, again, stop by the Discord room. Always love to talk about it. If you're making money in the markets, please look into real estate. Let me help you find a great agent for an investment property around the country. It is going to be your best hedge. Cash, trash. Commodities, great. Housing, rents are going to go up. Again, if interest rates go higher, people have to rent. Again, appreciate you guys. I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep streaming this, but the recording's over. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.